From the heart of South Asia to the crossroads of Central Asia, from the turbulent Middle East and North Africa to the power corridors of the West, where narratives collide, perspectives matter and stories connect. This is Beyond Borders. I am Omar Khalid. In the hour that will follow, we'll try to discover a world without boundaries and talk about stories that matter in this changing world. We'll begin with what we call region lines, otherwise the top stories of the day. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warns world leaders of an age of reckless disruption and relentless human suffering. In his opening address at the 80th UN General Assembly session, Guterres calls for an end to the wars in Gaza, Sudan and Ukraine. In his speech, US President Donald Trump says he has been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Moreover, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in his UNGA address is expected to highlight Pakistan's stance as far as illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Palestine are concerned. In the Middle East, deadly Israeli airstrikes have intensified in Gaza City and ground forces advance in the south of the city, killing dozens more Palestinians across the enclave. More than 65,000 Palestinians have been killed so far by Israel since October of 2023. Earlier, France formally recognized the Palestinian state, becoming the latest in a wave of countries to take this step. In India's restive state of Manipur, resistance against Modi's rule intensifies with the deadly attack on an Indian army convoy. The security situation in the northeastern state remains critical as the armed struggle for freedom gains momentum against New Delhi's control. And finally, in Central Asia, Uzbekistan cuts child poverty in half over the past 4 years. According to UNICEF, the rate has dropped from 21.5% in 2021 to just 11.4% in 2024. Let's begin our story and we'll take you to the West, where, of course, the United Nations General Assembly session is happening. It's the 80th session, and already as we speak, Donald Trump has spoken in this August session, so has a Brazilian envoy, and the pace has been increased as far as different topics that are under discussion is concerned. Our Pakistani convoy is also there, that is being led by our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. More in the following report.
World leaders are convening in New York for the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, the world's largest annual diplomatic gathering. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is leading Pakistan's delegation, alongside Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, senior ministers, and officials. On the sidelines, Pakistan's leadership is also holding key bilateral engagements with world leaders, including the heads of the IMF, World Bank, Austria, Kuwait, and the Gulf Cooperation Council. In his address to the General Assembly, Prime Minister Shehbaz will also highlight the plight of the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, who have endured decades of oppression under unlawful occupation. The unilateral abrogation of Article 370 in 2019 further stripped Kashmiris of their autonomy, deepening their suffering. Pakistan maintains that Kashmiris must be given their inalienable right to self-determination, as enshrined in UN resolutions. As there are stark similarities between the ideologies of Indian Prime Minister Modi and Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu, both enforcing occupation and denying freedom to millions. Just as Palestinians seek liberation from decades of siege and bombardment, the people of Kashmir yearn to live in an atmosphere where their rights are never compromised. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif will reaffirm that Pakistan stands firmly with all oppressed people across the world, from Gaza to Kashmir, and will continue to support their just struggle for dignity, peace, and independence. He will also speak on broader global concerns, including regional security, climate change, Islamophobia, and sustainable development, reaffirming Pakistan's role as a committed member of the UN Security Council. Additionally, Prime Minister Shehbaz will join a special summit of Arab and Muslim countries co-hosted by the United States and Qatar, where President Donald Trump and regional leaders will discuss post-war governance in Gaza and steps toward lasting peace in the Middle East.
To discuss this very important gathering in detail, we've been joined by two guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. In the studios, we've been joined by Dr. Munawar Hussain, who's an international affairs expert and joins us after quite a bit of a hiatus. So welcome back to this new show. The last time we were together was in Newsroom, so now you're here Beyond Borders. We've also been joined by Akram Saab. He's a former permanent ambassador to the United Nations. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us as well. We'll begin with you, Munawar Saab. Munawar Saab, world leaders have gathered in, of course, New York. This is the 80th session of the UNGA. Many important issues will be discussed, have already been talked about in the addresses that have so far happened, whether it be the US President Donald Trump or the Brazilian leadership. What are your expectations?
Regarding what?
Regarding this session, what would happen, what could happen, what major decisions could be taken?
Thank you very much for having me in your show. I mean, this is very, very significant session in my viewpoint because of number of reasons. Number one, that we are observing multipolarity in a formative phase, number one. Number two, we are also can understand that the current system is at the verge of derailing when international law is not respected, regimes are not taken seriously, international institutions, their decisions are not respected, and long-standing issues like Kashmir and Palestine has not been resolved. So there is a question mark on the current order. And similarly, different rising powers, they are emerging and they are creating alternative multilateral forums like SCO, though SCO has 5 key agendas, and among them, one is how to improve the relevance of United Nations, international regimes and international law in current international order. And similarly, even there is a question mark on the performance of United Nations. So I think these are the challenges in which such a session is occurring, and especially the heated debate would be on the issue of Palestine, where the Eastern world and the Western world, all they have realized that they may not be able to tolerate further the atrocities of Israel on Gaza.
All right, all right. That's a very interesting perspective, and let's see whether all of these discussions or these heated debates lead to some kind of tangible conclusions that are implementable. That is the main, I think, key point that needs to be highlighted as well. Munir Akram Saab, who is the former permanent ambassador of Pakistan to the UN, joins us online. Sir, welcome to our show and thank you so very much to have joined us. I'd like to just understand, there are so many addresses that have happened as we speak, like US President Donald Trump. Then there is a Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, French President Emmanuel Macron are amongst the main speakers today. What will be the highlights? We've seen some of the highlights that the US President has talked about, but what will be the key points that all the important leaders are going to talk about?
Well, I think everyone is very focused on the ongoing conflicts. First of all, of course, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the turmoil that has been created by Israel in the Middle East. Secondly, the Ukraine war. And then, of course, there are a host of other issues that delegations are going to raise. Issues in Africa, issues across the world. Climate change will be one of them. Development is another theme. And the reform of the United Nations will be, of course, an important part of this discussion, in my view.
Munir Akram Saab, I'd just like to understand the importance of Pakistan in this whole context, whether it be the Palestinian conflict, whether it be the Ukraine-Russia conflict, or whether it be the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir region and the turmoil that has been going there since quite some time, and the need for the right to self-determination. Will Pakistan highlight these issues? Will also Pakistan be highlighting the climate change and its impact on countries such as Pakistan, as is evident from what has happened this year as well? What are your expectations from the Prime Minister's speech, and how important is Pakistan's presence at the UNGA going to be?
Yes, well, the Prime Minister is scheduled to speak on the 26th, that is on Friday morning. I expect, obviously, the Prime Minister will raise all the issues that are important for Pakistan, which includes Kashmir, which includes our difficulties and challenges with India, the problem of terrorism that is being launched against us by India on our western borders. He will obviously talk about our role in the Middle East, in our effort to resolve the Palestinian issue, address our development objectives, as well as the impact of climate change on Pakistan, and our views on the reform of the United Nations itself. So I think some of these issues which the Prime Minister will raise. Pakistan's voice is important at this stage. On the one hand, we are a non-permanent member of the Security Council at the present moment, and therefore contributing actively to peace and security. Secondly, we're playing a large role on the Middle East issue, along with our other Arab and OIC countries. And thirdly, of course, Pakistan. So worth is now looked at it in a different light after the 4-day war with India, where Pakistan demonstrated its capability to confront a much larger power. And therefore, the world is looking at Pakistan with respect and with expectation that we will contribute to the response to global challenges in the world today.
You know, you talk of expectations and coming up to those expectations when it comes to Pakistan. But now that it comes to the UN and all the critiques that are coming from the world over, and all the countries, I'll cite one, Israel, that is not accepting any of the resolutions that has been passed by the United Nations in the past years. How important will be this 80th session of the UN as well to not only assert its position amongst the Committee of Nations, but also in the newly developed and ever-changing geostrategic atmosphere?
Well, the United Nations by itself is not a kind of separate entity. The United Nations is a conglomeration of its member states. And therefore, the UN can only be as effective as the member states allow it to be. And the fact that there are some crises, such as the Middle East, where Israel, protected by the US, is defying the world opinion and the decisions of the United Nations, this is a failure on the part of the membership of the United Nations, not an institutional failure on the part of the United Nations, because the United Nations has adopted all the right decisions in the Security Council, in the General Assembly, in the International Court of Justice. All the right legal, moral decisions have been taken by the United Nations institutions. But it is only the fact that the membership has not allowed those decisions to be implemented. And it has not because of the veto power exercised by certain members of the United Nations. So I think we should be clear. Weaknesses of the United Nations are the weaknesses of the member states of the United Nations.
I think that's a very valid and important point that needs to be understood in its proper context. Kindly stay with us while we continue our conversation with our studio and the guest. Munawar Hussain Saab, I'd like to understand how crucial is going to be our Prime Minister's address in the UNGA, because there are so many challenges that are confronted by Pakistan. A, on climate change. B, as far as India is concerned. C, when it comes to issues that plague the Muslim world, like what has happened in Palestine, what has been happening in Palestine since 2023, and what recently happened in Qatar.
Pakistan is a very important nation as far as South Asia is concerned, and especially in the Muslim world. And in terms of power, Pakistan is a middle range power, because always I say there are two building blocks, the military muscles and the economic wealth. And we have as military muscles, and we proved that our capability and established our credibility when we had a crisis with India. Fine. So Pakistan is not a smaller nation, number one. Almost 250 million people. I mean, this is not a smaller. Yes. Then our successful civilian and military diplomacy, that has upgraded the status of Pakistan in the Committee of Nations, especially in the Middle East and in the eyes of United States of America and other major powers like China and Russia as well. Because Russian delegation, they paid visit to Pakistan and they said that we want to have independent relations with Pakistan, because we know that India is playing the double game. And this is the reason that the consultative meeting, which is organized by the United States of America, and President Trump would have a consultation with key Muslim nations, among them is one of Pakistan.
Yes.
Then it was unprecedented that your Chief of Army Staff Field Marshal Sayyid Asim Munir was invited on the lunch by the President Trump in the White House to have a understanding regarding what is going on in South Asia and in the Middle East. And then we observed the downgrading tension between United States of America and Iran. So from all these perspectives, I believe that Pakistan address would be very important, our Prime Minister address would be very important, and Pakistan would be taken very seriously. And Pakistan was taken very seriously and gave a heroic welcome, a sort of heroic welcome in the Arab OIC summit and later on in the Saudi Arab. So all these evidences are showing that Pakistan would be a center of eye, especially when the issue of Kashmir, South Asia and Middle Eastern geopolitics would be discussed.
All right. Munir Akram Saab, I'd like to understand something that's very important, of course, in the whole context of this summit that is going to happen, in which President Trump will be there, other leaders of Muslim countries will be there, and Pakistan has been specially invited to this summit. How important do you feel now the West realizes the Pakistan's role, Pakistan's importance in the Muslim world, and the role that Pakistan has been playing and can continue to play?
Pakistan has always had a leading role in the Islamic world. Our denomination is an Islamic country, and we've always taken that very seriously. But yes, Pakistan is being taken more seriously, especially after this 4-day war with India, where we have demonstrated our capabilities as a military power. And therefore, we have been taken very seriously. And our diplomacy has been smart. We have a very firm relationship, strong relationship with China. It's an unbreakable partnership. At the same time, we've been able to develop good relations with the United States. And now we've entered into a pact with Saudi Arabia. It's the largest and most important Arab country. So I think we are well placed. We are a member of the Security Council. So we will be taken seriously. We are always taken seriously, but at this point, I think we are taken particularly seriously by the world, especially by the Arab and Muslim countries. But we are playing a positive role, and I think the Prime Minister's speech will be listened to very carefully.
Indeed, the Prime Minister's speech will be listened to very carefully, because not only is the Muslim world listening to Pakistan with a lot of attention, but also the West now is very keen to know and understand what Pakistan has to say on different topics that concern the world. I'd like to also understand, Pakistan is going to also address the high-level global development initiative, otherwise known as the GDI. Because you've been part of the UN, you know how the GDI works as well. How can Pakistan, in your point of view, showcase its commitment to multilateralism through such initiatives?
That's a good question. I think, China's approach to development has been different from the Western approach to development. The Western approach to development was, we will give you advice, we will give you some money, we will then, see how you do, we will supervise everything. China's approach has been a very practical approach, and that is to focus on the development of the basic foundations of an economy, which is infrastructure. And this is the Belt and Road Initiative, which has promoted this approach to development. It's been a fruitful approach for many countries, including Pakistan. And the GDI is a sort of crystallization at the policy level of the Belt and Road approach to development. So I think the GDI is an important initiative. It has identified 8 areas where nations need to build their capacities and there are specific programs that have been promoted under the GDI to advance in these 8 areas. I think it's making a substantial and concrete contribution to development, especially when on the other side, development assistance from the Western world is being cut, has been reduced. I think that China's cooperation, the GDI, and the Belt and Road Initiative both are vital components of the developmental aspirations of the developing countries at the present time.
Munir Akram, thank you very much to have joined us, to have given us your valid opinion. That really is important under the current context of the 80th UNGA meeting. And of course, we'll continue to get your point of view and your opinion on this and so many other important matters in the days to come as well. Let's come to our second segment, and our second segment concerns South Asia. Before we go to South Asia, let's go to Middle East and North Africa, because that is, of course, more or less linked to what has been happening at the UNGA 80, because this is the issue that is going to be discussed in detail and has been discussed as we speak by the different speakers since the session has now begun. More in the following report.
In a landmark move, France has formally recognized the state of Palestine, with President Emmanuel Macron describing it as a historic step towards preserving the long-elusive two-state solution. Speaking at the United Nations General Assembly, Macron emphasized the urgent need for both Israel and Palestine to coexist peacefully and securely. His announcement was met with applause as he further revealed that France intends to open an embassy in Palestine once critical conditions, such as internal reforms, a lasting ceasefire, and the release of prisoners in Gaza, are met. This move by France signals a broader shift in European sentiment, with several nations including Andorra, Belgium, Luxembourg, and San Marino expected to announce similar recognitions in the coming days. Over the weekend, countries such as Australia, Britain, Canada, Portugal, and Malta also formally extended recognition to Palestine. The UK's decision carries particular symbolic weight. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper confirmed that the Palestinian Authority will now be allowed to establish an embassy in London. Pakistan, a longtime supporter of the Palestinian cause, welcomed the wave of recognitions. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, representing the country at the session, hailed the developments as a reinforcement of Palestinian rights. Collectively, this growing international support marks a significant diplomatic push for Palestinian statehood and brings renewed global attention to the decades-long conflict.
We continue to be joined by Dr. Munawar Hussain, who is a foreign affairs analyst in the studio, and we'll also be joined by Akram Natsheh, who is a Palestinian journalist and joins us from Hebron as well. Oh, there you are. Thank you very much to have joined us as well. We'll, of course, come to you, but before that, Dr. Munawar, how significant is the French recognition of Palestine? Not the first time, now it has concretized, but before that, France had been speaking time and again on why and how it's going to recognize the Palestinian state. This is one of the countries in the West that had not done that in a very, very long time. Do you feel this is the beginning of a shift in global diplomacy towards justice for Palestinians?
Frankly speaking, shift has already been done. When Ireland and Spain, they recognized the state of Palestine, and now France. France is a leading nation in the Europe. And at this moment, we are facing three polar world. One pole is led by France, and among nations who are in that pole are the 26 countries of the Europe. So from that very perspective, no doubt, the step that France would take will have impact and effect on the other nations of Europe, and therefore we are observing that UK, Belgium, even Canada and Australia, they have extended recognition to the Palestine. Second important thing is that if you see the history of France, you will find trend and pattern in the behavior of French people. They have a revolutionary cult in their behavior. They always supported new states, whether they are in a formative phase or they have got independence. Let me give you one example. Even United States of America was supported by France against the British Empire. They provided them weapons and soldiers. And they gifted them this Statue of Liberty. Similarly, in G7, recently it was in Canada, it was France that time and again insisted that the war in Gaza must be stopped. So therefore, I think this is very important step. But at the same time, we must understand that this French step is not free from challenges. The challenge that would be posed by United States of America and Israel, because
And other countries in the West, not to forget. In your European Union, Germany for
Germany,
one,
yeah,
Italy for
Germany,
one.
because Jews, they are very dominant in German's economy. So therefore, President Trump believes that what France is doing, it is against, number one, the reality, and second, it is just like a rewarding to the Hamas. And Israeli perspective is that French movement is detached from the ground reality.
All right.
Otherwise, ground reality is not understood by the Israel. This is for the first time that Israel is losing its legitimacy, not only its economy, its image, and all European partners, because European partners, one of the very important factor why they are extending recognition to Palestine is that there is a revolt and demonstrations in their society, because these are democracies. They can't afford the public opinion pressure because they want to come into power again, number one. Number two, that is more important, is that Europe believes that they have upper hand in international politics, because now current nation state system and international society is originated from the Europe, and it is claimed by Hedlebel in his book Expansion of European Society and International Society. So therefore they think that this Palestinian issue and Ukrainian war is derailing the European image as a leading nation in international society.
Exactly, and that is very important as well. But will it have the necessary repercussions as far as the fate of Palestine and Palestinians is concerned, is what we will see in the coming days and weeks. Akram Natsheh, let's come to you. I mean, so much of recognition that is coming a bit late in the day. Nevertheless, it is coming as far as Palestine and the Palestinians are concerned. But at the same time, we have got the UNGA 80 also that is going on in New York. And there are a lot of polarizing statements that will come and continue to come as far as Palestine and the fate of the Palestinians is concerned. When it comes to France, I'd just like to quote Emmanuel Macron, who said the time for peace has come and that right must always prevail over might. Do statements such as these give legitimacy to the Palestinian cause at the United Nations?
Of course, that's give the Palestinian issue more legitimacy, that give Palestinian more recognition. It's not only just a political or diplomatic recognition that's ensure that the Palestinian case, the Palestinian narrative about what's happening here in Palestine is true, and it's have the right for Palestinians to live in dignity and to live in free. That is the core. Now, I will speak a little bit about the grassroots, the people who are here in Hebron, in West Bank, in whole Palestine. We just go to the street and ask people, what's your idea about this recognition? The people here, and what I will say, which is the people, the grassroots point of view, not the politician point of view. It's a good step, it's a good initiative to recognize the Palestinian state, but for the people who are living under occupation, it's not enough. It's good to be a start. It's good to be an initiative to stop the Israeli violation and Israeli genocide against Palestinian people, but it's not enough till now. People here hope that it will give people more steadfastness to resist the occupation peacefully here in Palestine, especially in West Bank and in Gaza, where people are suffering, where people are killed every day. But it's not enough. When you ask people who are living in the tent and the Israeli airstrike behind them and the Israeli tanks through the fire through against them, they are just thinking about one thing: to stop this war, stop this genocide. So people, we think that it's good initiative, it's give Palestinian more power, it's give Palestinian, and the Palestinian leadership have to invest this recognition, but it's still now there is no effect in the ground.
You know, Akram al-Natsheh, the fact is that it's not enough, as you say, to the people that are on the ground. But the other fact also remains that there still is a lot of opposition as far as even the fact of the two-state solution when it comes to Palestine is concerned. You must have read or heard the statements by Netanyahu and the Israeli side that are negating the two-state solution or even the existence of a Palestinian state. What should be now the role of the important countries in the West now that the UN is getting together, has gotten together in New York to move forward for a just solution of the people of Palestine?
Yes, now this is the important. They have to move forward, not only the political and the diplomatic recognition. We need to a step forward on the ground. They have to make more pressure against Israel to stop genocide against Gaza and to stop settlers attacks and settlers terror in West Bank and the Israeli army practices in West Bank. So what we demand, what people expect from the countries which recognize Palestine to make more pressure, to make practical steps to stop this genocide, not only to say we recognize the state of Palestine and then they did not do anything and just dealing with condemning killing people and demolishing houses and dismantle neighborhoods, dismantle all of Gaza and let the settlers terror continue in West Bank. So people here want a practical move, a practical step from these countries to pressure on Israel or to move on the ground to pressure that to let the help the aid to enter Gaza. There is millions of people, 2 million of people under famine. They have no medicine. They have no any kind of aids, any kind of essential for life. So they want that thing to happen quickly and urgent.
All right, all right. Kindly stay on with us, Dr. Munawar Hussain. So many countries are recognizing Palestine. You said it began with Ireland and now we are seeing France and so many other countries, the United Kingdom, Australia and others that are recognizing Palestine. But in the long term or in the short term, the fact is that the Palestinians, as our Palestinian journalist friend was talking about, need the necessary changes implemented in letter and in principle. They are being bombarded, are being killed left, right and center, and they are in a state of starvation as we speak. Can the UN do the needful?
I think France has promised that they would take a lead for collecting funds for the reconstruction of Gaza. And even OIC, they decided $53 billion package of reconstruction of Gaza. This meeting was held in Egypt, I think 4 or 5 months back. But beside this, no doubt that Gaza at this moment is unlivable. And what Israelis they are doing, they are killing Palestinians and they are trying their level best to expel Palestinians out of Gaza and the West Bank because they want to realize their dream of greater Israel. And two-state solution means recognition of Palestine means end of greater Israel. And once there is an end of greater Israel means end of Netanyahu's regime there. For instance, opposition of Israel, Leopard Yair, he gave a statement that in the history of Israel, we did not see such a worst regime that has deteriorated the relations of Israel with the Western world, that has downgraded the economic development, and that has tarnished the Israeli image. And I believe that even Israel is losing its legitimacy of its existence. But beside this, there are two key challenges. That if Palestinian state is going to be recognized, then not only this reconstruction problem is there, but at the same time, what would be the border? Because Palestine and United Nations would say that pre-1967 would be the border. But United States and other partners of Israel would accept it because Israelis, their argument is that if we allow pre-1967 border, it means that Hamas would have accessibility to the center of Israeli populations, where these centers would be in the line of middle range or small range rockets fire, number one. Number two, what kind of leadership would be there, because there is a division at this moment, everybody knows this. And then even Palestinians as Americans, they can use it as a pretext that since 2006 no elections has been held in Palestine, and current Palestinian authority is considered as a weak authority, and some corruption cases are also discussed in international arena. So therefore, these can be the challenges that I feel that newly established Palestinian state would face.
All right. Now, amongst the challenges that the Palestinian state will face, and of course is facing, is also the fact of the two-state solution. On the one hand, at this moot where France recognized Palestine and the state of Palestine, there was also Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, who stressed on the two-state solution. So did United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. So did Mahmoud Abbas, who was not allowed to enter the US, but of course joined virtually, and he said our future and yours depends on peace, enough of violence and war. But it all depends on whether there is a two-state solution, you know. When Israel itself, if you have read, as I was talking to Akram al-Natsheh, Israel's latest statements talk about a complete negation of the two-state solution and also of a Palestinian state. What happens then?
We know, Barsab, that Israel is nothing without the support of US and the West. And West is declining its support of the Israel. For instance, Belgium has sanctioned all sort of arms sell or supply to Israel, and all sort of trade even. And similarly, there is a pressure in Italy. I mean, in 60 cities, there are huge demonstrations pressurizing government to put all sort of sanctions against Israel. If Israel is completely sanctioned by its partners and supporters, do you think that Israel would be able to resist this two-state solution? Number one. Number two, if Israel would not allow international community to have two-state solution, in that case, Saudi Arabia has given a very important statement that if Israel would dismantle West Bank and enter into the West Bank, then Saudi Arabia would be pressurized to take the physical action. So it means when Saudi Arabia is going to take a physical action, do you think that only Saudi Arabia will go for this action, or the Muslim Ummah, or the Arab world, and especially Pakistan, who has recently have a defense pact with the Saudi Arab? I think Israel does not have such a capability and ability in international arena to resist this two-state solution for a longer period of time, because it is not tolerable, especially for the Western world, because demonstrations are so huge and these nations are under pressures. They cannot sustain this pressure.
All right. Akram al-Natsheh, last question to you, and that concerns the recognition of the Palestinian state. From a Palestinian point of view, from a journalistic point of view, what does recognizing a Palestinian state mean?
Okay, that means to recognize the Palestinian rights to live in dignity, the right for the recognition for Palestinian to live in sovereignty, the recognition for Palestinian to live as a human being. Here, Palestinians treated they don't treat us as a human being. They just treat us as a creature, and they through bombs, through airstrikes, through fire, through people, through everything. They siege us in West Bank in cages, if it's a true expression. So what we want is to have our right to decide what we want. I don't think that to recognize the state of Palestine and then put a condition who will lead Palestine is a true end. Where is the sovereignty? Where is the sovereignty when you recognize Palestinian state and you say it should, this part and this political part shouldn't lead?
That is why
So
it's very
people
important,
here,
Akram al-Natsheh, that not only is the state of Palestine recognized, but also the necessary, impending details regarding and surrounding this recognition also are implemented in letter and spirit. This is what Palestinians need, starting from a ceasefire and ending with a two-state solution with the state of Palestine getting its independence as has been enshrined under this. Thank you very much, Akram al-Natsheh, to have joined us all the way from Palestine. Next, ladies and gentlemen, comes South Asia. And of course, when it comes to South Asia, as I said in the very beginning, there is a lot of tension brewing as far as Manipur is concerned. The wave of resistance against Narendra Modi's rule has intensified with a major attack on an Indian military convoy. Dr. Munawar Hussain continues to join us, and of course, we take the liberty to ask him one or two questions regarding that as well. Dr. Munawar, this intensifying armed struggle in Manipur, does this not only expose the shallowness of Narendra Modi's claims of internal stability, quote unquote, but also proves that New Delhi is losing its control over its own territory?
You are absolutely right. This is all the consequences of the Mudatva policy, which is the latest form of Hindutva. Look, India has a 3D policy as far as external world is concerned: demonizing, destabilizing and cunning diplomacy. And therefore, in external world, especially in South Asia and outside of South Asia, India is isolated. And we see that what sort of changes occurred in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal. This is all against India. Within India, they have a 3R policy. Number one, repression. And Modi regime is using excessive repression against the minorities like the Kuki tribe over there. And even they have used BrahMos missile on them. This repression is alienating these tribes to be known as Indians, and therefore they are struggling for independence. And they are getting influence from the youth movement, what happened in Bangladesh, in Nepal, in Sri Lanka. Second is a refusal of rights, especially of minorities, Dalits, Muslims, Sikhs, and they cancelled, for instance, 370 and 35A in the case of Kashmir. And similarly, they are not allowing Muslims in India to have their houses in the capital of India. Third is remaking mindset through Goody media. They are trying to pressurize them that they must adopt this Hindutva as a religion. And therefore, we see opposition of this mindset in the South India and as well as in the Northeast India. And therefore, the third episode of revolution, youth revolution, I can foresee in India that it is.
Well, let's see how that bodes as well, and what the coming days have in store as far as Manipur and so many other states where people are revolting against the Modi regime is concerned. Thank you very much, Munawar Hussain Saab. We're a bit short of time, or else I would have loved to continue a little bit. But of course, before we end, let's take you to Central Asia. And as far as Central Asia is concerned, Uzbekistan has achieved a significant reduction as far as child poverty over the last 4 years is concerned. According to a representative from the UNICEF, child poverty rate has dropped from 21.5% in 2021 to just 11.4% in 2024, which has effectively cut the figure in half as we speak. This deliberate government policy for the 10 percentage point decline has been extremely important, not only for the current government in Uzbekistan, but also for working towards the rights of the child. Now, reducing poverty has become, as far as Uzbekistan is concerned, a central national priority, and this is what we are going to hope that this national initiative that we are seeing in Uzbekistan will pave the way for a stronger country, for a stronger nation, where the children suffer the least and can become the harbingers of the new society. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's Beyond Borders. It has been a wonderful experience sharing all these important stories with you. But as the days evolve, we are going to discuss more stories that matter, more perspectives that concern us in South Asia and across the world, and of course, the United Nations General Assembly session that is going on as we speak. Allah Hafiz.